Hey YouTube, my name is Natalie. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I'm going to be analyzing the case of Gina Carano. Her situation brings up some interesting perspectives on the issue of First Amendment free speech, and she was recently fired by Lucasfilm for her role as Cara Dune in the Disney Plus space western known as Mandalorian. I wanted to kind of give some background on Gina and then talk about the legal aspects of this. So first of all, Gina Carano was born in 1982. She's from the United States. She started off as a mixed martial artist, one of the, I think, best female mixed martial artists of her time. She had a 7-1 record. Her first defeat was to Chris Cyborg, and that's when she retired after her initial defeat. Gina then went on to star in several movies as well as co-star. First, she had a starring role in a film called Haywire, which I actually did see. I think I've seen a lot of her work, actually. It was an action-adventure type of film. She used a lot of her physicality in that. She's known for being very physically imposing, doing stunts. She definitely brings something to the table that that not many female actresses bring as far as her physicality is concerned. And I think that has something to do with her fighting background. She also made an appearance in Fast and Furious 6 in 2013. She also appeared in Deadpool in 2016. And then in 2019, she was cast as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is amazingly successful. Not only is it a product of Lucasfilm and in the Star Wars universe, it's also streamed on the Disney Plus platform. Now, let's get to what the controversy is. So the controversy here is that Ms. Carano made several social media postings on her Instagram and Twitter. Now, she's been pretty vocal about her political beliefs, dating back to maybe 2018, 2017, sometime around then. On her Twitter account, she posted about trans issues, saying that she did not want to use the pronoun identifiers that people usually use in their Twitter handles in order to show solidarity with the trans community. So, for example, I might have in my Twitter bio, Natalie, and she, her, So she put beep, bop, boop in hers. Said that it was not to hurt the trans community or try to make fun of the trans community, but instead her showing that she felt like she was being bullied into adopting the state your pronouns nomenclature that people were using in their Twitter bios. In addition, she also made some posts denying on her Instagram that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, or Epstein, excuse me if I said that incorrectly, and also made several posts declaring that she is an anti-masker. One in particular showed a person with multiple masks all over their face saying, "Meanwhile, in California." I think that these posts went largely although people did object to them, went largely unnoticed by Lucasfilm and Disney Plus. Pretty much, it's clear that she's a conservative. It's clear that she doesn't believe in the science behind stopping the spread, of the panorama. It's clear that she is not, maybe she doesn't dislike trans people, but she is not going to engage in the type of things that people do in order to show solidarity with the trans movement, right? And I think that there was maybe a line that she eventually crossed, and the line was this. Recently, sometime last week, in her Instagram stories, she posted a meme about the Holocaust, and in the meme, it basically said, I'll put a picture of it right here, but it basically said that the Holocaust and what happened to Jews during the Holocaust is similar to the current political climate right now, in that Jewish people were attacked by their neighbors, including children, before they were attacked by the Nazis. Kind of equating what's happening to conservatives versus liberals, I guess, saying that conservatives are being attacked by their neighbors. It was insensitive to what actually did happen during the Holocaust, which was the internment in concentration camps, genocide, and murder of Jewish people. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. After she posted that, several people took to Twitter. They added they tagged Lucasfilms, they tagged Disney Plus, and said for them to fire Gina Carano. Lucasfilms did eventually release a statement saying that Gina Carano was no longer employed by Lucasfilms and she would not be appearing in The Mandalorian for the next few seasons. I'm not sure where The Mandalorian goes from the season finale that they just had. I kind of thought that would be a series finale, but I do think, and I think that was a series finale. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I do think that there was supposed to be a spinoff for her character, Cara Dune, because she was like the marshal of the town, and I think that they were going to do a spinoff on her character. So she definitely, fumbled the bag, if there's any other way to put it, because she got fired from something that looks like it was going to be pretty lucrative for her. Oh, and I do want to address that she did also say some things that were not in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. She was particularly said that, yelling and screaming in someone's face that they're racist is only going to make people, not want to come together. And that's also something that people say that may be a valid point, depending on, what you're talking about, the context of what you're talking about. But once again, I think the things that she said about Black Lives Matter, the things that she said about trans people, the things that she said about mask wearing are pretty run-of-the-mill conservative talking points. But I think that the reason that she overstepped, that gray area into, a danger zone was when she equated the current political climate with the Holocaust. So let's talk about the First Amendment. So just to be very clear, because a lot of the times people get confused as to what the First Amendment actually is and what it protects, the literal language of the United States Constitution, First Amendment, is that the Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government and redress of grievances. So that is what the First Amendment says. So there are no First Amendment implications here, because the first condition to the First Amendment is that Congress, and by extension the rest of the government, the 14th Amendment extends it to all of the states, Congress, the government, shall make no laws abridging the freedom of speech. So no law was made by Congress or any state saying that Gina Carano could not express her opinions on Black Lives Matter, trans issues, Jeffrey Epstein, mask wearing, or the Holocaust, right? Or the current political climate. There was nothing saying that she could not talk about that in any law. Lucasfilms is a private corporation, and private corporations are allowed to fire people for speech that they find to be objectionable. It has been time honored and established that private corporations are not implicated by the First Amendment, that they can fire people for objectionable speech. So courts have repeatedly rejected attempts to apply the First Amendment to private corporations. So there is a case called Federal Agency of News, LLC versus Facebook from January 13th of 2020, 432 Federal Supplement, 3rd edition, 1107. Courts have previously rejected attempts to apply the First Amendment to Facebook. In the case of Freedom Watch Inc. v. Google Inc., court dismissed the plaintiff's First Amendment claim because Facebook and Twitter are private businesses that do not become state actors based solely on the provision of their social media networks to the public. In the case of Young versus Facebook, the case was dismissed because the First Amendment does not apply to Facebook. It does not apply to Google. And it does not, I would say by extension, it does not apply to Disney Plus. So even though they provide a service to the public, the First Amendment does not apply. They can fire anyone for speech that they find to be objectionable. Of course, there is the caveat that you cannot do that for discriminatory purposes based on protected classes. So protected classes, once again, are race, gender, religion, and national origin. Disability is a lower protected class, as well as sexual orientation. That's also a lower protected class. So if they were firing her for her race, her gender, her national origin or her religion, then yes, certainly she would be able to bring a claim for being wrongfully terminated in violation of the Constitution. But if they're only firing her because they find her speech to be objectionable, there is no possible case that she could raise against Lucasfilms or Disney Plus, because they are private corporations and they don't have to keep to the First Amendment. Now, I have seen online debate which says that basically what happened to Gina Carano is equivalent to what happened to the Blacklist, with the Blacklist in Hollywood in the 1950s. The Hollywood Blacklist was put in place in response to the early years of the Cold War. The Blacklist involved the practice of denying employment to entertainment industry professionals believed to be or have been communist or communist sympathizers. Actors, screenwriters, directors, and musicians were all placed on this blacklist. Lucille Ball was one of them, actually. And basically, they would not be hired if they were thought to be communist or communist sympathizers. This is not the equivalent of being placed on a blacklist. And this is why I say that. She was allowed to have her opinions up until a certain point, right? And there is nothing secretive or private about the type of, about what happened to Miss Carano here. Everyone knows that she was fired because of the post that she made, basically undermining the importance of the Holocaust. Believing in a certain political party is not why she was fired. She had plenty of things that she said up until the point that she called into question the seriousness of the Holocaust. She had plenty of things that she said that some would find to be objectionable or against their political beliefs, and Disney Plus and Lucasfilm did not fire her. Now, there's no one saying that she won't be hired elsewhere. There may be a more conservative network that would want to hire her. So there's nothing saying that she is blacklisted or unable to be hired. It's just that this particular corporation found what she said to be objectionable. We have to also understand the context of the fact that Miss Carano was working for Lucasfilm and Disney Plus. Although we adults love Star Wars and grew up with it, you have to remember that the Disney Plus products, the Lucasfilm products, the Star Wars product, are targeted towards children. So I can't think of anyone that's under Disney Plus right now or has a Disney contract who is so vociferous in their political beliefs. Mostly when people have a contract, and they usually have a social media clause in their contract, they usually have a good behavior clause in their contract, because their audience is mostly children. They don't want this type of controversy or negativity being directed towards their platform. They don't want, maybe particular children to feel excluded because the actor that plays this role in the day of social media, they would know this, the actor that plays this role doesn't, like them maybe because of their race or because of their gender or because of their political leanings. They want the actors on Disney Plus and all the other Disney products to stay as neutral as possible. I know, for example, that the Marvel world is under Disney at this point in time, and there are very few examples that we can think of with all of those actors of any of them having any large-scale scandals or anything like that. And that's a lot of actors that are in the Avengers excuse me, that's a lot of actors that are in the Avengers universe. For the most part, they've kept it pretty straight and narrow, pretty clean cut. For example, I know that Chris Pratt is, right-leaning. I know that he is Christian. I know that he is, I think, born again. And we know these things about him, but he never posts things online that are in any way inflammatory or divisive. You just know the type of opinions that he has just from maybe little comments that he says and things like that. But you have never seen him post anything online that would be the equivalent to what Miss Carano posted. If you look at Mark Ruffalo, he's on the other end of the spectrum. He played Incredible Hulk. He is a liberal, and it's pretty well known that he is liberal. But I could not find any examples online of Mr. Ruffalo, despite his, liberal leanings, disparaging right-leaning people, calling people, stupid, or saying things about, major events like the Holocaust or something like that, and calling into question the seriousness of those events or equating them to what's currently going on right now. I think that if Mark Ruffalo, I only use him because he's the most liberal person I can think of in the Marvel universe that is under Disney, that if Mark Ruffalo started, spewing things about calling, say, right-leaning people Nazis, for example, if he started doing something like that, then I would imagine that Mark Ruffalo would no longer have a job, even though he is more politically active. So I don't think that it was a problem that Gina Carano was politically active or believed what she believed as far as, right-leaning ideology is concerned. I think she just stepped over the line when she extrapolated things into the Holocaust. I think that was just going too far, at least according to Disney Plus. So I don't even think that Disney Plus is decidedly divisive in favoring liberals versus conservatives or the Disney universe, right? Because they have so many people that act in the Disney universe that are on both sides of the spectrum. Some of them are politically active. However, I don't think that any of them have overstepped the way that Gina Carano has. It just is what it is, that's just the risk that you run when you're political. I'm a political person, right? And if any of my political opinions ever become to the extreme where I am alienating my, maybe like a distinct population that my employer helps, or if I am, making it so that I can't do my job because of my opinions, then my job might have the right to fire me. And so her job as a private corporation has the right to let her go, and that's exactly what they've done. Now, should she have been let go for her opinions about the Holocaust and everything? I don't think that she should have been let go up until the point where she made the comments about the Holocaust. I didn't personally like the things that she said, but those are her opinions. Those are her opinions. It is what it is. I don't like people sharing anti-mass propaganda. I think that it's harmful more than it's helpful, but there's so many people that believe that way that I think that it would lead to like a slippery slope of a whole bunch of people being fired. I just think that she overstepped when she started talking about, the Holocaust. And I think that she even thinks that she overstepped because before she got fired and after it blew up, she started deleting the posts from her Instagram. So, again, you have the right to be conservative. Obviously, I'm not conservative. You have the right to be conservative. But there are consequences to every single action. You are not free of consequences. You have free speech, but no freedom from consequences. So those are my opinions on the situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.